Good day. This is Chuck Cameron, OCTV, and this is my life. Today, I'm in our studio with an amazing lady, Linda Moran, who has some marginal thing to do with the Polly Trail. Linda, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to see you. Welcome to the couch in the studio.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Thanks for having me today.
It's
awesome.
We start with what you're up to today, if you could tell me what you're up to today, and then we're going to drag you back a long way to when you were young, and we'll talk about the things and the people that influence you to help you become the remarkable person you are.
Okay.
So what are you up to today?
Well,
what's this Polly Trail gig?
Well, 6 years ago, almost to the day,
Okay.
I took a job working with the Polly Trailway Management Council. And I had no idea really what it entailed.
Okay.
I found out it was a thing a little over 6 years ago. Pat Ball was the trail manager at the time, and he was working at Anytime Fitness Gym, and he was a spin teacher. So I was taking a spin class, and he said that he was quitting this job, and I said, "What do you mean, this job? That's a thing?" And he said, yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years. And I said, well, one, I didn't know it was a job, and two, who's going to take care of my trail? And he goes, well, I guess I'll have to find somebody. You know, they'll hire somebody. So I immediately jumped off the spin bike and ran to the village of Oxford. And I talked to Joe Young, who was manager of the village of Oxford at the time. And I said, Joe, I heard there was this gig for this Polly Trail manager's job. I said, I want the job. When do I start? And he said, no. Because Joe had known me a long time. He goes, it's not that easy. You've got to apply for it. I said, yeah. When do I start? Where do I apply? When do I start? And he laughed because he knew me. And so I went home, put my resume together. Sure. Next day, took it up to Joe, and I said, when do I start? And he said, well, we're doing the interviewing process, that sort of thing. So I said, sure. Okay, fine. But, this is my job. There were 36 applicants. Yeah. They narrowed it down to three ladies. And the other two ladies were quite well skilled at administrative things, things that were administrative. I'd worked in hospital administration and doctor's offices and things for years, so I was also skilled at the paperwork of life. But I also have always been a very outdoorsy person. Sure. There isn't anything I haven't done, with the exception of skydiving, which I won't do. So did the whole interview process. I got the job, and I said, listen, in 5 years you're going to recognize the place. And they're all like, yeah, we've heard that before. I said, oh, no, you haven't met me before. So I got the job and realized there wasn't much in the way of sustainable equipment. The trail was being run with 2 push mowers and a couple of weed whips. Yeah, it was rough, and I'm like, how are you running this trail?
Let's take a stop for a minute.
Yeah.
Small points. How long is the trail?
The trail is 16.9 miles long. It runs through 5 communities. The Orion Township, Oxford Township, the village of Oxford, Addison Township, and the village of Leonard. So it's a big trail, and things grow all the time. Things dig in the trail, things clog up the trail, trees go down. It's amazing. So I took the job, and the first thing I did was started acquiring equipment. And through a lot of donations, scavenging, we became a fully functional landscaping company, basically. So I started small, and we kept expanding, and now we work with contractors for some of the heavy duty equipment, our fall trim, and our 3 annual mows. Urban Habitat does our 3 annual mows, and anything other than that we handle internally.
Got it. So
with volunteers.
That's a lot like work. So you are juggling 16 balls at the same time, I'm sensing. Yeah. And from the look on your face, you like it a lot.
I love my job.
Good.
This job was actually made for me. Okay. I get to go out and meet people in the community. I will talk anybody's ear off. I love it. I enjoy learning the inner workings of each of the communities' governing systems, because everybody's the same, but everybody's different. I love working with the people in our communities that are either elected officials or appointed officials. I love learning just different things about each of our communities. I mean, every day I learn something different about the communities that I work in, and I'm always shocked and yet amazed that I didn't know that already.
Okay. Well, let's learn something about you.
Okay.
Let me take you back to, because the goal is to figure out the influences that helped you become the person that folks in the community know. Tell us about your childhood. Where'd you grow up? Brothers, sisters, and what was it like at home with mom and dad?
Well, I was born in Des Moines, Iowa, and I lived there for the first 8 years of my life. My parents were from Davenport, Iowa, and Lincoln, Nebraska. So they, grew up out there.
Corn country.
Corn country, and lots of hogs.
Yeah.
My dad has always been a very outdoors person. He turns 90 today, so happy birthday, Dad. And he's an avid golfer, hunter, he just loves to be outdoors. So I grew up there until I was 8, and then my dad was transferred to Michigan with the Ford Tractor Company, so he worked in Troy. And my mom didn't want to live in a city, so we ended up in Lake Orion, which is now part of Orion Township. Then it was Lake Orion. So my dad is still there in the house that I grew up in.
Right.
And we just always were outside, riding horses or hunting or fishing or hiking, just always wanted to be outside. I have a sister that's 2 years younger than I am. She lives in Westland. And I have a brother that's 8 years younger than I am, and he lives in Milford. And they're both outdoorsy people too.
So you're the oldest.
I am the oldest.
The burden bearer.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So that's the folks. What was it like at home? What was it like in your house?
It was pretty normal. My mom was pretty strict about TV watching. It's like, go outside, get outside. Our house backed up at the time to Bald Mountain State Park. So we would just basically run the forest. We had a horse riding stable behind us, right off of M24. So we would always, we were always over with the horses or in the hayfield or, building tree forts, just getting into just mischief.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. We had a swimming pool as we were kids, because I think everybody back in the 70s and the 80s had a pool at their house. So we had a pool, and we just enjoyed being a kid. We rode our bikes and ran the neighborhood and just had a great time. So.
Good. So that's lots going on.
Oh, always.
All right. So when we come back, we're going to take a look at school and what you did next. What were you up to? And sounds like you've got lots of things to talk about.
All right.
So I thank you for that right now. So
Thank you.
We'll take a little break, and we'll catch you back in a minute. Okay, we're back. So, where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in Lake Orion.
Yep.
I graduated in '81, so I should maybe lie about that a little bit. But it was great. I went to the old high school, which is the Cirque building now, and it was a very small school, but it was good.
What'd you do in high school, and who were the folks who may have been influential to you in high school?
Well, I was just an average student. I didn't do any sports at the time, which is kind of odd. I did a lot of art. Mr. Bernstein was the art teacher, and Mr. Reese, who went on to be, I think he became superintendent of schools. He lived here in Oxford for many years. they were very influential. Science teacher, art teacher. They taught me a lot of things, and they were kind of the first people I ever met in my life that were like, don't take things so serious. You know, just kind of go with it. You know, learn. Nothing's ever unfixable. You know, so never be too hard on yourself. And Mr. Reese was my driving instructor, and his attitude was, we're going to go to Birmingham and we're going to parallel park between Porsches. It's going to be fun.
Now, are you at that point loving it or dreading it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You know, it was rather exciting, you know, because at that time, Lake Orion was a lot of cornfields, a lot of hay fields, a lot of horses. You know, we hadn't gotten the first fast food restaurant yet. McDonald's wasn't in town yet, and it was very interesting.
It looked different than it does now.
Very different.
Yeah, okay.
Very different. And I've been here for 50-ish years in total.
Sure.
Oxford and Lake Orion have changed a lot. Oxford a little less than Lake Orion, but it's changed a lot. Changed a lot.
So after school, what did you do next after high school?
Well, after high school, I got married at 19
Excellent.
to my junior high school sweetheart, Mark. We just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And we still like each other. You know?
Bravo.
Yeah, we still like each other. So he was in the military. He joined the Navy because in the 80s there was this big recession thing going on. Jobs were hard to come by. College was kind of not obtainable at that point. So he joined the military, went into the Navy, and we traveled the United States for the next 8 years, 3 months, 12 days. Learned a lot. The military taught us a lot of things. How broke and how stupid we were two of the top ones. How we just really learned a lot very quickly. You learned on your feet. You learned how to think really quickly. It taught you discipline. It taught you how to act with all types of different people.
Were there folks during that time that gave some influence in your life, help you see things in a new way or better?
Pretty much everybody.
Got it.
In the military, you meet everybody. You meet everybody from different walks of life, different backgrounds, people that have had good upbringings, bad upbringings, you know, one-parent homes, two-parent homes, foster care. You met everybody, all different age groups. So, you know, you learned a lot. We were so young and dumb that we really learned a lot from the people that we were in the military with. I met a lot of Navy wives, older, you know, the chief's wives and the officers' wives, of course, were older. So they kind of took us under their wings a little bit, whether we wanted to or not.
Right. You need to know this.
Yeah, you need to know this to keep yourself out of trouble.
Yep.
And tried to mentor us a bit. And it was a very good learning experience. One of my husband's dearest and best friends, and one of mine was one of our, you know, shipmate people.
Yeah.
And we're actually we travel with them still.
Excellent.
So we go on vacation with them quite a lot, and just, you know, we learned a lot about a lot of things, how to treat people and how to treat ourselves.
Any kids?
We have one daughter.
Okay.
Who just turned 38. She
38.
Graduated Oxford High School.
Cool.
And I won't tell you what year. She'll kill me. So.
She'll kill you. We don't want you to die.
No.
No.
No, and she graduated from Eastern.
Excellent.
So with a business degree, and she does substitute teaching.
Is she local or elsewhere?
Canton. She lives in Canton.
That's sort of local.
With her husband and our only grandson, who's 9.
Excellent.
So
what's his name?
his name is Jacob.
Jacob. Good name.
Yeah, it's a good name. And he is one of the biggest 9-year-olds I've ever seen. He's bigger than I am. He's taller than I am. He's about 120 pounds.
Wow.
He's about 5'5" right now. He's on track to be bigger than Shaq O'Neal. So
That could be a big boy.
he's a big boy.
Yeah.
Nobody in the family is that big, so it's got to be the,
You anticipated my next question.
yeah.
Well, it's somewhere back there somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandfather was about 6'2".
Okay.
My brother is 6'4", but that's it. My dad is Cherokee Indian, and he's a very small guy. So,
But cool.
but cool.
We've established that.
Oh, he's very cool. My dad is the ultimate cool guy.
Good.
So,
All right. During that time, and after your husband's exit from the Navy, what did you do next?
we moved back to Michigan.
Okay. I like Michigan.
Yeah. He got out of the Navy. We were planning on staying in Washington State. We were living in Bremerton, Washington, which is across the water from Seattle. Loved the area. Loved
Beautiful
it.
country.
Gorgeous. We had bought a house, and we were actually really planning on staying. His mother was ill, and we kind of decided that maybe we needed more family. You know, we were out there all by ourselves. So we got a headhunter, because he was a nuclear reactor operator, so he was very high-skilled electrician. So we got a headhunter, and the headhunter called and said, listen, I got this job opportunity for you in this place called Troy, Michigan. Do you know where that's at? And my husband said, yeah. I grew up in Lake Orion, I gotcha. So came back, did the interview, and got a job with ABB. Yep. So we moved back here. He worked for ABB for a couple of years, and then he changed jobs to Schneider Electric, well, Square D.
Square D.
And then they were bought by Schneider Electric North America, which is a French company, and he's been there for 30 years. So
Cool.
yeah. So yeah.
And while he's doing that, what's his bride doing?
Well, I am taking care of the grandson. I spend a lot of time with the grandbaby because, you know, I worship him.
Of course.
And he
Well, your
worships
grandma,
me.
that's a big job.
So he's got to love me best. He's got to love me more than anybody else. And at the moment he does because, you know, I bribe him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then I work on the Pollyant Trail. I am paid 20 hours a week, but I work about 65 in the summer.
Sure.
I do PR. I do grant writing. I pick up trash. I do just about everything you could possibly imagine that goes along in the trail.
There's a lot to it. Well, when we come back, we're going to tear into the Pollyant Trail,
Okay.
what Linda's up to in the Pollyant Trail, and maybe some things that the folks might not know about the Pollyant Trail and the organizations through which it wanders.
All right.
And that's what happens next, okay?
Sounds great.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right, good enough.
Thanks.
Good.
I used to think news is news. It's all the same. But it's not. There's a big difference between local broadcast news and cable news. See, local stations are part of my community, connecting me to local news, weather, and sports on every device. It makes sense. Get the news from the people I trust who actually live here. No agenda, no bias like on cable shout shows or social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text TV to 52886 today.
So, Pollyant Trail. Now, I've been out there. I love it. It's wonderful. What's the story of the name? Why Pollyann? Who was Pollyann?
Well,
Was she your mother-in-law or something?
no.
Just checking.
Years ago, the P&O Railroad was the railroad that ran through the area.
Okay.
So Oxford, Orion, Addison. Well, it fell upon hard times financially.
Okay.
You know, it was passenger train, freight train, that sort of thing. So it kind of got nicknamed the Pollyanna.
Why is that?
Well, at the time there was a series of popular books called The Adventures of Pollyanna. And it was about a young girl who would get lost. She'd wander off and she'd have all these misadventures. You never knew where she was going to be, when she'd be, you know, what she was up to. She always stopped to smell the flowers and just her misadventures and adventures. So they nicknamed it the Pollyanna because you just never knew when the train was going to show up or where the train was going to show up, how long the train, you know, it was just kind of the misadventures of the P&O Railroad. So when they were batting around the names for the trail 25 years ago, because we just celebrated our 25th anniversary, I believe it was Paulina Blanca that suggested Pollyann.
And it stuck?
And it stuck. So they said, that's a great name. So I do believe, she's the mother of the trail, so I believe that that's how the name came to actually stick.
So a question about the trail itself. This was a railroad track, as in all the rails to trails.
Yes.
Remarkable change.
Yes.
When did rail service cease? you know?
I believe it was late in the 70s. I believe the last train ran early 80s, late 70s.
Okay, so it's been a good
Yeah,
while.
it's been a good while. And what happened was a lot of these railroads, you know, when they were decommissioned, the railroads didn't want them anymore. There was an agreement with the state of Michigan that they would take over the rail beds, right? There was a provision many years ago that farmers or landowners, when land was excised, or they could get it back if they signed an agreement and renewed it every 10 years. Everybody kind of missed the fine print on that.
Legal.
People would die.
Yep.
People didn't know you had to do it every 10 years.
Yep.
So when the railroad went away, you know, some of the families that still existed said, well, we'd like our land back. And they said, you didn't file the paperwork, you know, that kind of stuff. Which, you know, that was a little tough go for some folk. And the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, I do believe it was the Department of Forestry, received all the land in these railroad banks.
For the railroads, yeah.
So the DNR said, what are we going to do with it? Rails and Trails came to be. Larry Obrecht said, we can do it.
We can do it.
We can do it. Pauline Bianca and a bunch of different folks from Addison got together, sat around her kitchen table and said, we're going to make this happen. So I call her Pauline, the mother of the trail, and Larry, the father of the trail, because they were the ones that took no guff and made it happen. Without them, I don't think it would have happened.
Do you interact with them still?
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Larry, I just saw last week or so. You know, he. When I first took this job, I knew no one. I didn't know anything about what I was supposed to do. It was just basically bone chance on this one.
Yep.
So the first thing I did was I called Larry and I said, Larry, help.
Yeah, what do I do?
And I had never met the man before.
Okay.
So I just called him out of the blue and I said, this is my job, and what do I do? So Larry was very kind and forthcoming with a lot of information, showed me around. And he didn't just show me around the communities, he also showed me around at the Oakland County level, at the state level.
So important people that you needed to know.
Yes, he took me to Lansing. We talked to the people at the DNR.
Yeah.
He introduced me to people I needed to know there. We met with people. He took me to Oakland County. I met all of the, you know, commissioners and all those people that actually make things happen in our communities, not just at our local level. So he was very helpful. I couldn't have done it without him. He was just so helpful to me.
You mentioned that the trail goes through a lot of different communities and that there are different leadership and governmental agencies that you get to interact with. You have the privilege of connecting with. How does that work?
Well, each of the 5 communities we run through have their own individual governing body.
Okay.
They all work basically the same in all 5 communities, but each one is kind of individualized. So they have a little bit different way of doing things. They have different people doing different things. So I get to kind of watch, like a fly on the wall, watch how things work. You know, DB's, you know, the ZBAs, how zoning works, how permitting works. It's different in each community, different requirements. You know, different councils do different things. It's very fascinating. So I get to be the fly on the wall without, you know, really being directly involved.
Now, do these local organizations make the decisions that you then have to follow, or is there a separate group that you report to?
The Pollyann Trailway Management Council is who are my direct bosses. There are representatives from each of the communities, each of the 5 communities.
Got
We
it.
have 2 from Orion. We have 2 from the Township of Oxford, 1 or 2 depending. We have an alternate in the Village of Oxford. We have 2 in Addison and 1 in the Village of Leonard.
Do you cover all those places?
All 5 communities, and they are my bosses. So basically, they set up the rules I have to go by, and ultimately, they are governed by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. The Pollyann Trail, we have a lease with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for the Pollyann Trail. So we are the management governing body of the trail. The owners of the trail and their easements is Michigan Department of Natural
DNR.
Resources.
Got it. I'm sure the interaction between that body and the local bodies and the DNR is smooth almost every day.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Then that's all for today.
Well, you know,
or maybe not.
yeah, just with like everybody, the DNR has gone through a lot of personnel changes
Sure.
recently. You know, people leave, people retire. The head of trails coordinator retired a couple years ago, Paul Yuck. He was fabulous. Loved Paul. And they just recently got a new trails coordinator, Tim Novak, who is, I'm delighted to say that he used to work for Rochester High School as an athletic director.
Really?
And I knew him when he was the athletic director.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
There's
So,
a connection there.
yeah, I walked into a meeting a couple weeks ago, and he was standing there, and I'm like, I know you. And he goes, I was at Rochester Hills athletic director. And I said, that's where I know you from. So I think he's going to work out great.
Good.
He seems like a get it done kind of guy. Let's cut the red tape. Let's get her done. And I think he's going to be fabulous for the DNR and for the trails.
May he
And
be successful.
I hope so. And he does all the trails and water trails in the state of Michigan.
It's a big turf.
It's a huge turf.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want his job for anything.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Sounds like he does, though.
he does. And he's young. He's smart. He's going to be some good fresh blood in there.
Go get him.
Yeah. So,
Right.
but
So then a question on the trail.
yeah.
What do you do? Day to day, give us a sense for the kinds of things or season to season.
Yeah.
What does managing the trail involve?
Well, I do a lot of mowing.
Sure.
A lot of mowing. I'm on the trail every day, 5 days a week, sometimes 7, depending on what's going on. I tour the trail to make sure that there aren't chipmunk holes, which are the vein of my existence. Make sure everything is where it should be. Make sure everything is mowed. Make sure there are no washouts. Make sure there are no down trees, anything dangerous. Make sure the signs are where they're supposed to be. And if they aren't, I got to get them back to where they need to be.
Good.
So I'm constantly, my truck looks like a, Murphy's Closet. You open it up, I've got everything you could possibly need to do anything from rebuild a retaining wall to hang a sign. So.
You mentioned earlier that
Yeah.
there might be from time to time a critter who ceases to breathe
Yes.
in the trail area.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
We have a lot of situations that occur, especially during the rut of deers. They get hit by cars, and they always manage somehow to just
Just to crawl to the trail.
get to the trail and die.
Die.
So, if you get there soon enough, they'll end up in a freezer somewhere, allegedly, or they have to go to coyote
Yep.
food. So
Yep.
we have a couple places that we're able to give them to the coyotes.
Good.
And, the
Very
coyotes.
generous of you.
I think so.
That's important.
And we have had a few, unfortunately, we have a family of trumpeter swans that live on the trail.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had a few of them expire, and we've had a few of them be rescued. So, we take care of all our little animals.
Excellent. Well, it's an amazing life you've
Yeah,
embraced.
yeah.
Excuse me. That could have come out better. We'll try that again.
Okay.
It's an amazing life you've got. It's a great story. It's wonderful to hear people talk about their stories because often their face lights up when they're talking about what they like and used to.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
want to thank you for all that you do and taking time for us today. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was wonderful. And, come out, enjoy the trail.
Enjoy the trail. You've heard it. Chuck Cameron from OCTV, My Life. Come out, enjoy the trail. Linda says so.
Yeah.
Have a great day.